You've seen the videos. You've read the creepypasta. You know the name, the Dybbuk Box. You think you know the story of the most haunted object of the internet age. But what if the story that terrified a generation of web surfers was built on a deliberate lie? What if the original owner wasn't a victim, but a storyteller who crafted a brilliant piece of fiction? And what if the real horror isn't about an ancient Jewish demon trapped in a wine cabinet, but about a lie so powerful, so widely believed, that it accidentally willed a real entity into existence? Tonight, we expose the secret that changes everything. This isn't the story of a haunted box. This is the story of how the internet created a monster. The legend begins in September 2001. A man named Kevin Mannis, a small antiques dealer in Portland, Oregon, posts a strange item on eBay. It's a small, unassuming wine cabinet, but the item description is what would launch a global phenomenon. Mannis claimed he bought it at the estate sale of a 103-year-old Holocaust survivor. The woman's granddaughter warned him, with terror in her eyes, that the box had been in her grandmother's possession since she escaped Poland, and it contained a Dybbuk, a restless, malicious spirit from Jewish folklore. Her final warning: never, ever open it. Of course, Mannis didn't listen. He took it to his antique shop. Immediately, strange things began to happen. The lights in his shop would inexplicably burn out. Doors would lock by themselves. And a horrific smell, a mix of cat urine and jasmine flowers, would permeate the building with no discernible source. He gave the box to his mother as a birthday gift. The very same day, she suffered a massive stroke. Terrified, Mannis took the box back. But the activity followed him home, escalating with a personal, vicious intensity. He and his housemates began suffering from the same recurring nightmare, being tormented by a terrifying old hag. They would wake up with welts and bruises they didn't have when they went to sleep. They saw shadow figures darting in their peripheral vision. Mannis's hair began to fall out in clumps. In his eBay listing, he desperately wrote, "This box has a darkness that I cannot explain." He wasn't trying to sell an antique. He was trying to get rid of a curse. The box was sold to a college student in Missouri named Yosef Nitsky. He too began documenting his experiences online in a series of now infamous blog posts. The same phenomena returned with a vengeance. The smell, the nightmares of the hag, the electronic malfunctions. He and his roommates became ill, sleep-deprived, and paranoid. They saw shadowy figures with no eyes. After months of terror, Nitsky, like Mannis before him, put the box back on eBay. The curse was now viral. This is where the story you think you know solidifies. The box falls into the hands of Jason Haxton, a skeptical museum director. Haxton was fascinated by the object's burgeoning folklore. He wanted to study it, to rationalize the stories. But the box, it seemed, had other plans. Haxton began to suffer from a bizarre and terrifying array of health problems. He developed a strange skin condition, with painful hives covering his body. He began coughing up blood. Most disturbingly, he claims he woke up one morning with the taste of metal in his mouth and discovered his eyes were bleeding from the corners. His doctors were baffled. His home was plagued by the same disembodied smells and shadow figures. Haxton, desperate for answers, did what no one else had. He researched Jewish mysticism. He consulted with rabbis. He learned that a Dybbuk is not just a ghost. It's a dislocated soul that latches onto a living person, causing chaos and misery. The box, he concluded, wasn't just a container. It was an anchor for something deeply malevolent. His story became the basis for the 2012 Hollywood horror film, The Possession, and the Dybbuk Box was cemented in history as a certified, terrifyingly real, haunted object. A compelling story, right? A perfect modern campfire tale. A cursed object passed from victim to victim, its legend growing with each new owner, validated by a Hollywood movie. But here's the secret the filmmakers, the bloggers, and the ghost hunters left out. The foundation of this entire terrifying saga is a lie. In 2021, nearly 20 years after he first listed the box on eBay, the original owner, Kevin Mannis, came forward with a shocking confession. The story of the Holocaust survivor? He made it up. The granddaughter's warning? Fiction. The Dybbuk? A concept he borrowed from Jewish folklore to craft a spooky story. The truth is, the box was just a simple wine cabinet he bought from a local lawyer. Mannis, a creative writer by trade, invented the entire backstory as a Halloween prank, a piece of short fiction to make his eBay listing stand out. He wrote a ghost story, and it worked better than he could have ever imagined. He created every element. The nightmares of the hag, the smells, the shadow people, all of it came from his imagination. He never gave it to his mother. She never had a stroke related to the box. He admits he was simply trying to sell a plain wooden box, and a good story sells. So, case closed, right? The Dybbuk Box is a hoax, a clever marketing ploy that spiraled out of control. It's just an old box. But then, how do you explain what happened next? How do you explain Yosef Nietzsche, a college kid thousands of miles away who had the exact same nightmares Mannis described? How do you explain Jason Haxton, a respected museum professional, suddenly coughing up blood and developing inexplicable, life-threatening illnesses? They weren't in on the joke. Their terror, their physical ailments, their eyewitness accounts, by all measures, they were real. This is where the story evolves from a simple hoax into something far more disturbing. It's a phenomenon paranormal researchers and occultists have a name for: a tulpa, a thought form. The theory is that if an idea, an entity, or a story is charged with enough focused human energy, belief, and fear, it can take on a life of its own. It can become real. Think about it. Kevin Mannis didn't just write a story. He injected it into the nervous system of the early internet. Thousands, then millions of people read his tale. They focused their fear and energy onto the image of that simple wooden box. They collectively imagined the hag in their nightmares. They collectively believed in the power of the Dybbuk. Did the collective unconscious of the internet act as an accidental, global black magic ritual? Jason Haxton himself, even after learning the origin was fabricated, doesn't believe the box is harmless. His theory is that the box isn't the source of the evil, but a focal point. It's a psychic lightning rod. Mannis's story gave a formless fear a name and a face: the Dybbuk, the hag, and the box became the vessel for that fear. The story became a self-fulfilling prophecy. People expected to be haunted, so the energy they projected created the very thing they were afraid of. Consider the psychological power at play. The nocebo effect, the opposite of the placebo, is a documented phenomenon where a person who believes something will harm them can experience real, negative, physical symptoms. Could Jason Haxton's violent illnesses have been an extreme, psychogenic reaction fueled by the power of suggestion? Perhaps. But that doesn't explain the objective phenomena. The electrical disturbances, the foul odors witnessed by multiple people, the doors slamming. It doesn't explain the shared experiences across owners who had never met. the box's journey didn't end with Haxton. He eventually had it sealed in a military-grade container and buried it in a secret location. But the story was too big. The entity, it seems, was too strong. In 2017, the box was acquired by paranormal investigator and TV personality Zach Bagans for his haunted museum in Las Vegas. Bagans, fully aware of the hoaxed origin, decided to put the new theory to the test. He unsealed it and put it on display. The results were immediate and dramatic. Museum staff reported feeling dizzy and nauseous around the exhibit. Visitors have collapsed, broken out in hives, and fled the room in terror. During a live TV taping, the rapper Post Malone touched the box. In the weeks that followed, he was subject to an unbelievable string of bad luck. His private jet's tires blew out on takeoff. He was in a serious car accident, and his former home was targeted in an armed robbery. Coincidence? Or the curse reasserting its power on a new victim? Bagans himself claims the entity is one of the most powerful in his museum. He alleges that a dark, cloaked figure is often seen standing beside the box's display case after hours. He even claims that during one lockdown, a spirit from the box attached itself to a staff member, followed her home, and violently possessed her, an event he documented for one of his shows. Whether you believe Bagans or see him as a showman, the reports of strange activity from unrelated people continue to this day. So we are left with a chilling paradox. The origin is a lie, but the haunting appears to be real. This forces us to ask a question that is, frankly, more terrifying than any simple ghost story. Which is more powerful? An ancient demon or a modern idea? The story of the Dybbuk Box is no longer about Jewish folklore. It's a uniquely 21st century horror story. It's about how our shared narratives, our fears, and our beliefs, amplified by the instantaneous and global reach of the internet, can have tangible, physical, and dangerous consequences. It's a warning about the power of storytelling. Kevin Mannis thought he was writing fiction. He may have accidentally written the user's manual for creating a monster. The original Dybbuk was said to be the soul of a dead person. Perhaps this new entity, the one born from the internet, is something else entirely. It's a composite entity, built from the nightmares of millions. A tulpa fed not by life force but by clicks, shares, and comments. Every time you read the story, every time you watch a video about it, every time you feel that chill run down your spine. Are you feeding it? Are you helping it grow stronger? So, what do you think? Is the Dybbuk Box just an elaborate hoax, with every subsequent event being a mix of coincidence and mass hysteria? Or did a creative writer's lie take on a terrifying life of its own, becoming a real-world curse powered by our own collective fear? Did Kevin Mannis create a ghost story? Or did he accidentally create a ghost? The truth, now more complex and unsettling than the original legend, remains locked away. Not just in a museum in Las Vegas, but in the dark corners of the web where the story first came to life. And it waits for the next person to believe in it.